Good morning, students. Today I am going to start with the new chapter, that is the second chapter of your NCERT book, Principles of Management. So, let's start with the basic meaning of principle. What is principle? It refers to a fundamental truth which establishes a cause and effect relationship between two or more events. It can predict the results of certain causes given in the given circumstances. Okay, so students, you might be knowing that there are various business enterprises which have followed or which are following the various principles in their working area, and even the number of management thinkers, the writers, they are also studying, or they have also studied the principles of management from time to time. So you can say that management principles have evolved or are in the continuous process of evolution. So here in this chapter, what you will see is the contribution of Frederick Winslow Taylor and Henry Fayol, who, as you have read, are associated with the classical management theory. Both of them contributed immensely towards the study of management as a discipline. Then this F.W. Taylor, he was an American mechanical engineer, whereas Henry Fayol was a French mining engineer. So Taylor gave the concept of scientific management, whereas Fayol emphasized administrative principles. So, but before we go into the details of the contribution, let's study the meaning or the concept of principles of management. So these managerial principles, they are the broad and general guidelines for decision making and behavior. Okay, if somebody is managing the organization, then for that also they have certain rules or certain guidelines which has to be followed by them. For example, while deciding about the promotion of an employee, one may consider seniority, whereas other may consider the principle of merit. So, principle of management are different with that of principles of pure science. You can't say that principle of science and principle of management, they are all same. Then, they are also not as rigid as principle of science. They deal with human behavior and thus are to be applied creatively given the demands of the situation. Now, the question comes, how the principles of management are derived, or the derivation of principle of management. So there are two ways how they are derived. The first one, on the basis of deep observation. On the basis of deep observation means researchers observe the problem carefully in different situations from different angles, and then they have to study the problem deeply, which caused magnitude, consequences, and then the solutions. Then the second way is on the basis of experimental studies. The decisions or statement which is observed is being tested in different organizations with the different employees, and if they get the favorable result, then the statement is given the name of principle and the principle is derived. So what are the two ways how the principles are derived? First, on the basis of deep observation. The second, on the basis of experimental studies. Now let's come to the next topic, that is nature of principles of management. So, as in the case of any field of organized knowledge, management too has its own set of principles. A management principle is a statement of general truth about organization or management. So, what are the nature or what are the features of principles of management? Let's see. The first one is universally applicable. Universally applicable means these management principles are universal and can be applied in different organizations like business, government military hospitals, schools, colleges, etc. Thus, they are the statements of truth of universal validity. That means it can be applied anywhere at any time. Then second feature is general guidelines. So these principles are not definite like the principles of chemistry and physics. Okay, because they are very clear and definite and their outcomes can be predicted. But here, on the other hand, the principles of management are of the nature of general guidelines and they cannot be applied without any flexibility. They give management principles to solve the problems. These principles do not provide ready-made solution for all the problems. Okay, as in case of physics and chemistry, it can be means easily taken into consideration for solving the problem, but here they are not the definite one. Then the third one is formed by practice and experimentation. The principles of management are formed by experience and collective wisdom of the managers after deep and thorough research work. They are not developed overnight, and they are not personal feelings of any individuals. Okay, then the proper observations and experiments are conducted before developing them. Without any practice, without any observation and experiments, they are not created overnight. Then the next one is flexibility or dynamic nature of principles. They are not static. They are flexible and dynamic. Management is a social science having no hard and fast rules. Okay. The principles can change with the changes in the environment. So, some of the principles are considered very useful at one time and are replaced by others due to the changes in the society. Then the next point is fifth one, that is mainly behavior or concentration of human behavior. So management involves the direction of human behavior, which is very complex and unpredictable. Application of management principle is not possible in each and every cases. Thus, it may be inexact and may not give the same result in all the cases. And the sixth feature is establishes cause and effect relationship. These principles are used to solve different managerial problems and improves the efficiency by establishing cause and effect relationship with the help of observation, inspection, analysis, and assistance of experts. Then the next feature is contingent or dependent. What is contingent now? The principles are contingent or dependent upon the situations prevailing in the organization. That means their application and effect depend upon the nature of the organization. It has to be changed according to the nature, type, and the size of organization. For example, the principle of team spirit is very important for the organization where work is carried out by a group of people. Whereas it is of no use in the organization where work is performed by the individual and not by the group of people. Okay.